Hey, what's up, family? Greetings to everybody. Greetings. Hope everybody's having a nice day, beautiful day. Welcome to the world's best kept secret. I haven't posted in a while, but I've always been here, right? So glad that you're tuning in. I'm glad for everybody that's tuning in to the world's best kept secret. Thank you for tuning in. If you're not following this page, go ahead and follow it. Go to our YouTube page, um, the world's best kept secret on YouTube. I'll put a link after the video. But the world's best kept secret on YouTube. Follow it, subscribe, hit the notification bell, like the videos, share this, and then leave your thoughts in the comments. I'm gonna get into this. I'm not gonna be on here long, but we're gonna talk about this reparations conversation. But leave your thoughts in the comments, right? I want to know what you're thinking. It's a conversation. But I want to dive right into it. This is the world's best kept secret. And I always say this, the world's best kept secret is the fact that the people who were brought here as enslaved warriors from West Africa, most of those people were descendants of the biblical Israelites. That's the basic premise for this page. It's African history. It's history, period. But the premise, the main thing is that those people were not just Africans. They were descendants of the biblical Hebrews. And the African history is beautiful too, but we're focusing on history before slavery. But we're going to get into this reparations conversation. Before I get into this, I want to just say that I hope I'm not just banking on reparations, right? I'm not just banking on reparations. I think that too many times, coming out of slavery, a lot of times our mindset is that we just live for what they can give us. We don't want to take any responsibility for anything, right? We're not responsible for the situation. They put us here, but they can't fix us. They put us in a situation, but they can't fix us. But we're going to have this conversation about reparations because it's kind of coming back up now. But I hope nobody is just banking on reparations, but we need to understand what we're talking about. I mean, it could happen. But there's some confusion. There's confusion. When we talk about reparations, and I'm just going, because I haven't never really talked about this. I normally talk about pre-slavery. But this whole reparations thing is, I think we need to know anyway, right, how this all works out. This is our conversation. Nobody else decides. Nobody, they say it's just a study. Nobody decides our conversation, right? We have to set the premise. We have to set the mark. This is our conversation. That needs to be understood, right? They can ask questions and this and that, but this is our conversation. But some people say that the whole idea of reparations is for all black people in America. That's what some say. Reparations is all black people in America should be getting reparations. Some people say all African people in America. Some people say all black people, all over. It gets pretty wild. But we're going to get into what it's really supposed to be. So according to history, I'm going to dive right into this, right? According to history, reparations goes back to the infamous 40 acres and a mule promise, right? That's what it goes back to. That was a promise by Major William Sherman on January 16th, 1865. That's when he made this promise to he was talking to, I think it was 20 black ministers. And then a few days later, he came back and made this promise of 40 acres and a mule. It's very simple, but we need to be on the same page. We all need to be on code. when it comes to this whole conversation, right? So that 40 acres and a mule conversation in 1865 is referred to by most historians as the first act of reparations to enslaved black people, right? That was referred to as the first act of reparations, was the promise of 40 acres and a mule. But, okay, so if all of this happens, who is it supposed to go to? Because they're making a big deal like it's very complicated, and it is not that complicated. It's not that complicated. That's a bunch of smoke. So if we're going to have this conversation, we're going to have it, right? We're going to have this conversation. 40 acres and the reparations, which goes back to the 40 acres and a mule, is not to all black people. We're going to get into this, right? It's not just to all black people. There is a distinguished group that is for. All black people were not enslaved at that time, right? Most blacks in this land, in the land that's called America now, most blacks, whether you're going to call Africans or Hebrews, they were enslaved. That was who the reparations was for, was the descendants of the people who were enslaved in this land, not immigrants. We love you. You are family. But this conversation is not for immigrants. This ain't an emotional conversation. This is not about whether we like each other or not. That's a whole nother conversation. You guys are family. It's all love, but this is business. This is an unpaid debt. So the people who were the people who were enslaved here in what was called the transatlantic slave trade, and I'm going to do some correcting because that's called the transatlantic slave trade, and they call it the Black Holocaust. But a better term for us, because a Holocaust is almost like, it's like saying that's the black version of what happened to white people. But we have our own term for what happened to us. It wasn't just a Holocaust. Our situation, so in Swahili, it's called Maafa. Maafa, Maafa, right? And it's a devastating, catastrophic event that happened to a group of people, and it's still going on. Maafa. That's what happened to us, right? But this whole reparations is for slavery. It is because a group of people were enslaved here and built this country, and was never paid. And that's a whole nother conversation. But that's what reparations is for. So the enslaved people here would not be immigrants, because immigrants, I'm just making these things clear, right? Immigrants go to another land for a better life. But that's not why we came. That needs to be understood, right? We caught a ride, but it wasn't for a better life. An immigrant moves on his own choice. They migrate. We are not immigrants. That needs to be understood first of all. We are not immigrants. So that's what the reparations is for. It's not for immigrants. This ain't nothing emotional. This ain't got nothing to do with our love for them. This is business. So reparations is not for immigrants. It's for descendants of the people who were enslaved. In other words, they say if you can, and they're having a conversation about it, we're having a conversation about it, but if you can trace your ancestry back to some people said the 1900 census, some people said 1870 census. If you can trace your ancestry back to slavery, then you are a descendant of people who were enslaved here, and you are eligible for reparations. That's how that works out. The descendants of the enslaved people, the enslaved warriors, who were enslaved here and built this country called America. Those are the recipients of what reparations was intended, which was the 40 acres and the mule. It goes back to there. This ain't no new conversation. This ain't nothing that just, you know, if our people in the Caribbean, they were enslaved there, but that's up to France or whoever enslaved them. They have to take it up with them. This here is for American slavery. This is a bill that America never paid. That's what this reparations conversation is about. If we're going to talk about it, like I said at the beginning, I don't bank on reparations. I'm not banking on it. Either way it go, I'm going to get out here and get it, and we're going to build something as a people, regardless. But they do owe us, right? And we're going to go after it. That's just business, right? Now, some people are taking this conversation and distancing themselves from their African ancestry across the waters. They're saying we were always here. They're saying we were always here. And we were always here. See, one thing about me, I've been doing a lot of history research, a lot of Bible research, a lot of African research, but I've also been doing a lot of genealogy research for almost 20 years on my family. So I'm genealogy minded. Well, I understand that if I only begin my ancestry in the United States when we met the Europeans, I'm cheating myself, I'm cheating my people, I'm cheating everybody that look like me of a reality of who they are or what they can do, what they're able to do. So I don't think it's good to distance ourselves from our brothers and sisters over the water, across the waters. But we just have to understand that our culture is not an African culture. Even though we have African roots, we're not an African culture. This is not an African. We have created our own culture here, but we've got African roots, right? The people who were, like we said, we were always here, but the people who were always here, we're not talking about the people who are called Native Americans. We're not the same people. I know they come up with pictures of Native Americans who look dark and this and that, but my question is always, where is the nappy hair? I have yet to see one Native American with nappy hair. We are not the same people. Now, my ancestors mixed with them people, and that's beautiful. But we're not the same people. The point is there were people who looked just like us. We would have called them Africans. Right? We would have called them Africans. Matter of fact, Africans was the ones who told Columbus that there was land across the Atlantic Ocean. They called it the Ethiopian Ocean back then. There was Africans already here, and they came from Africa. They got over in this land, but so we were already here, but then some of our ancestors came from across the waters too. So I don't think it's good to distance ourselves. We can, make it clear that we are not African as in culture. All African county has different cultures. Facts, Mary Lane. That's true. Africa is a continent. There's many different cultures over there. It's a beautiful thing. And I recommend every so-called African American, Hebrew, African, whatever you call yourself, if you're living in America, everybody should go to Africa. See, we know that we were already here, but everybody that was in this land who looked like me with nappy hair, we were all enslaved. So all of our culture was stripped. So we can't find no African-like culture in this land. So if you want to find an African culture, you got to go across the waters. To find something that Africans built, you got to go across the water. And you go across the water, you're going to find Africans who were living just like they were living over here. So it's not good to just distance ourselves. Beautiful. Yeah. That's a must. That's like she said she visited several countries. I'm sure she's many countries in West Africa. That should be like a pilgrimage for Black people. Everybody. I went to different countries over there. I'm about to go to Egypt, and it's a beautiful thing. You know, I've been to Ghana. We need it. You need to go. You need to go. But don't distance yourself. So when we say that our history began when we met the Europeans, we're cheating ourselves. We're cheating ourselves. We're cheating everybody who looks like us. We got thousands of years of history that we need to talk about and regurgitate, rehearse in the ears of our people. So our history didn't begin when we met the Europeans. Our history is way more than 500 years old. We have history here in this land, and we got history before we met. We need to know about Mansa Musa. We need to know about everybody from ancient Africa. I'm drawing a blank right now. But we need to know about all of our history pre-Africa. We need to know about the wars that was won. We need to know about the Amazon women in Benin. We need to know the Amazon women that beat the French, beat the brakes off, beat them like they stole something. And they made up these myths about these great big Amazon women. This is where they get Wonder Woman and all that from. But they were just black women. They were warriors, right? And there's a lot of history that we need to know about. You know, we created the alphabet. Africans created the alphabet. Africans created mathematics. Look up I think it's called the Shango bone, first instance of mathematics. We created the first script. The first script was created by Africans. And there's just so much. The first doctor, Imhotep, was an African. I know they say Hippocrates was the father of medicine. He's the father of Greek medicine. He's the father of this culture's medicine. But Hippocrates wrote that he studied in Kemet in Egypt under Imhotep. It goes on and on and on. So don't cheat ourselves just because we may be wanting to get reparations and we want to get paid. So we say, I'm not African, and that's another conversation. So not all of our ancestors came on ships. Some of our ancestors were already here. That's just a fact. You know, too many historians are documenting this, right? Some did come across the waters, but some of them was already here. But they were not the red people who are called Native Americans. They are different. They're not those dark-skinned pictures. Those dark pictures of the Native Americans are a different people. They did not have nappy hair. They're different people, right? Ain't nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying they were a different people. But when we talk about reparations, that's how that boiled down. That's to the descend. It goes back, like I said, I'm gonna keep saying this. It goes back to the 40 acres and the mule, and that promise made by General Sherman in 1865. That was actually made when during the Civil War, slavery was still going on, and he made that promise. They were still enslaved. And that's what reparations goes back to, is the 40 acres and the mule. That was to enslave people. So reparations is for the descendants of the people who were enslaved in this country, in America. Not no other country, in America. This is just business. It's just business. Ain't nothing emotional. You know, don't worry about it. Don't nobody get their feelings hurt and feeling like, well, you don't like us. No, they don't like it. They're trying to separate division, all this other stuff, and got nothing to do with business. This is just business. This is business. This is an unpaid bill that need to be paid. I mean, it's got to be right. But even if they don't do it, we're going to keep building anyway. That's not going to stop us. This needs to be understood too. Even if they don't do it, which we're going to work and, we're going to work to get that money. But even if they don't, we're still going to keep going. We're going to keep growing, and ain't nothing going to stop us, right? Ain't nothing going to stop us. Nothing going to stop us. It's best that they go ahead and pay that bill. All right. That's basically all I wanted to say, family. I just wanted to hop on there for a minute. I tried to go live on YouTube, and it wouldn't connect for some reason. That was my first time doing it, so probably user error. So, but drop your comments, and let me know what you think about that. my research and everything is showing that the reparations conversation is not a difficult conversation. They say they don't have the money, but then it's amazing how they come up with money with a whole bunch of other stuff. So that one don't fly. We just say cut the check, right? Cut the check. I heard somebody say 100,000 per family, and then anybody else who's got any questionable on their lineage, they had to wait in the back of the line and just get everybody else paid whose lineage is complete. If you can link it up to slavery, if you can link your ancestry up to slavery, you in there, you get a check. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. I know some people have different lineages that go different places, and that's just the way it is. But if your ancestry goes back to slavery, you in there. If it goes back to slavery, I've like I said, I've been doing genealogy for going on 20 years, and I got all mine documented, and I would hope that most people do get yours documented. Get your, you need that anyway. We need to get our ancestry. We need to get all of that stuff figured out anyway. Slavery did a job on us people. I'm in the middle of writing a book. But slavery did a job on us, but we need to get, it's not normal for us not to know this stuff. We've normalized it. She said they're talking about it now before the middle lesson. Yeah, I've heard that conversation, but we need to have our ducks in a row anyway, right? We need to understand what we're talking about. If we're going to get in this conversation, don't let another people lead our conversation. We need to, if you don't respect yourself, then nobody's going to respect you. So we got to have our stuff in order. And like I said, I'm not banking on that. I'm not banking on reparations. I'm not banking on that. Honestly, it'll shock me if we get it. But if we're going to have this conversation, we need to know what we're talking about, right? Don't let that be a reason for them to, slip out with some goofy excuses just because we didn't know what we wanted. Enough of that. We need to be on the same page. Everybody's on code. Everybody on code. All of this foolishness and confusion and all that stuff, we just need to be on code. Understand the conversation. Descendants of people who were enslaved. This ain't got nothing to do with no emotional stuff. This ain't got nothing to do with whether I love you and this and you. That ain't got nothing to do with this conversation. This is business. This is business. It's just business. It's all about lineage. And you can't choose your family. You either are or you're not, right? So you can't just come over here and get a check off something that we did. It don't work like that. Just don't work like that. So, all right, yeah, we can talk about that, Mary. I thank everybody for chiming in. I just, I wanted to chime in on this conversation that's starting to flare back up. Like I said, I haven't talked about it very much, and like we said, the world's best kept secret. What we mean by the world's best kept secret is the fact that the people who were enslaved, most of the people who were brought over here on ships from West Africa, were actually descendants of the biblical Israelites. Right? That is the world's best kept secret. The people who call themselves Jews, they are descendants of converts, as Professor Shlomo Sand says. As Miko Peled says, he says he's a so-called Jew. He says he don't know no Jews. He don't know any Jews, so-called Jews that are descendants of the biblical Hebrews. He says that. I got it on this page. Miko, Mikopeled, Miko Peled. I got the Shlomo Sand. These aren't people who were so-called black. These are them people. They're blowing the whistle, telling the story. But then some of our ancestry is not Hebrew. Some of our ancestry is African, which are strong people, right? People who created great cultures. There's a Zulu proverb, a Zulu saying that says, Umungu, ungamungu, ungabantu. Umuntu, ungabantu. That's what it is. Umuntu, ungamuntu, ungabantu. Bantu means people. That's a Zulu saying, and that means A person is a person because of people. A person is a person because of people. This is the African way of thinking, right? And Hebrews are African. Hebrew is not a race. I don't want to get into that. I've talked about that many times. This culture has made Hebrew a race. Hebrew is a family. It's descendants of Abraham. It's a family. Descendants it's not a race. Ain't nowhere in scripture says a race. The ethnicity was African. I don't want to make this a long video. I've talked about that a lot. We've been taught something different. We've been taught a Eurocentric narrative on all of that stuff. And it's got us talking, it takes us down a whole different path than even what's written in the book, right? But it's all African. Hebrew is another African culture. I don't want to go there. Don't pull me there. Don't pull me there. But that Zulu proverb, and Zulus are not Hebrews, but they're Africans. It's all amazing. My point is, African is amazing. Hebrew is all amazing, right? Whatever your ancestry is, they're amazing people. But they were about the culture, about a people. It wasn't this individualistic, goofy stuff that we got going on over here. It wasn't an individualistic mentality. They were all about a people. So the Zulus said, Umuntu, Unga Muntu, Unga Bantu. Google it. Google it. It means a person is a person because there are people. So let's get rid of this goofy, individualistic mentality. It's what's keeping us enslaved. Slavery did a job on us, y'all. They can't fix us, though. They did it to us, but they can't fix us. They can't fix us. That job of fixing us is ours and ours alone. And we can do it. Oh yeah, we can do it. Just look across the waters. Look at what we have done. This is why we need this history. We'll be encouraged when we look and see what we have done. It's amazing. It's amazing, family. If they cut the check, cool. If they don't cut the check, we're going to get it anyway. That's just what it is, right? Facts, that's right. That's right. It's just what it is. So God bless everybody. Have a great day. It's getting dark. It's getting dark over here, so I'm going to cut it short. Like I said, I tried to go live on YouTube. I got to figure that out. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, you guys have a great evening. Peace. Get our ducks in a row. Everybody get on code on this. It's very important. If we have the conversation, we all need to know what we're talking about, right? Everybody get on code. All right, God bless you. Peace. Shalom. Out of here. All right, bye-bye.